Is the iPad gaining mouse support in 2019? Well, not exactly. There's a little bit more to it than that, and these rumors and leaks have been kind of taken out of context and plastered all over the internet, so I thought I would capture it before too many of you got your hopes up. We've talked a lot about this on this channel in the past, about the idea of the iPad getting mouse support, and I want you guys to know that it's not what you think it's going to be, and it's probably not even happening at all. So here's why. This leak has picked up a lot of attention because of a podcast recently called The Connected Podcast, in which the editor-in-chief, named Federico Vidici, I think that's how it's pronounced, he suggests that USB mouse support could be coming to the iPad Pro as an accessibility tool. So what does that mean exactly? It simply means that for people out there who can't necessarily use the touchscreen for some reason, whether they be visually but more likely physically impaired for some reason, they would be able to plug in via USB for some reason, which he says. I'm not sure why Bluetooth is not brought up, but in his reports, he says that it would be a USB plug-in to the iPad Pro. That way you could use a mouse on iOS in case for some reason you're unable to use a touchscreen. Now, this is incredibly reaching for a lot of Instagram blogs and different headlines saying iPad Pro might get mouse support. That is completely taking this out of context for several reasons. One, they didn't say this is coming in iOS 13. That is a complete exaggeration and assumption with a lot of people who are reposting this article and just kind of making catchy headlines. For two, this is supposed to be an accessibility feature, so this is something that would be utilized by people who may be physically impaired, meaning that's why likely it's going over USB and not Bluetooth, meaning no, you won't be able to just turn on your Bluetooth Magic Mouse and have it instantly pair to the iPad, and boom, now the iPad supports macOS, before any of you get too uppity about that. But we do talk about the idea of macOS running on the iPad in the next episode of the Talos of Tech podcast, so please make sure you're following us over there. We're about to post a new episode, or it's already out by the time you're watching this. Regardless, if you like listening to podcasts, please just check us out on iTunes or SoundCloud or Google Podcasts, wherever you listen. But yeah, this would essentially be like the iOS emulator on Xcode, where the mouse kind of just becomes a replacement for your finger interacting on the touchscreen. Personally, I also think this is really out there because there's not many situations where I could imagine someone who's physically impaired that can't use a touchscreen, but for some reason they can use a mouse. To me, it feels like a touchscreen would probably work for more people better than a mouse, but the light talk around the internet that has suggested there being mouse support on the iPad is likely, like I said, an accessibility feature. It's not something third-party apps could take advantage of, and it's not like anyone would simply just be able to connect their Bluetooth mice to their iPads when they want to now. So I can already tell a bunch of you out there were like, oh, perfect! Now I'll have keyboard and mouse support when I'm playing Fortnite on the iPad Pro, and I can play with other PC users. No, that's not what's happening here. iOS is still, and likely will be for the future, a touch-dominated operating system. That's why Apple is betting so much on the Mac. They're still working on things like the modular Mac Pro, new MacBooks. Their redesigned MacBook Pro has been delayed. Some people saying it's coming out at the end of this year. Some people saying it's not coming out till 2021. The future suggests that Apple is still developing and working very, very hard on the Mac. So that's not going anywhere. For high-end coding and for advanced editing, Apple's still going to be producing Macintosh computers that rely on a keyboard and mouse for probably a very long time, and they're still going to be expanding the options and expanding the capability of iOS, but I think iOS is still going to remain a touch-dominant user interface. If there is mouse support for some type of accessibility feature, it will not work very well. It will just kind of barely work for people out there who, for whatever reason, cannot use a touchscreen. For everyday consumers who just want to use a mouse with the iPad, it likely will not work very well, and it'll likely just be easier to use a touchscreen in the first place. So I don't want you guys getting your hopes so high for, oh, the next iPad's just basically going to be converted to a MacBook without a keyboard and mouse attached to it. There's been a lot of iOS 13 leaks lately, so I can understand why so many people are getting carried away. Oh, this is coming to the iPad. This is coming to the iPad. And I felt like this one was kind of getting bunched in with the rest of the leaks and rumors across the internet, so I thought I would squash this rumor early, give you guys some with context, help you understand this might not even be an iOS 13 feature, and it's only going to be for a select few who need that accessibility feature for whatever reason that they can't use the touchscreen. Definitely not a flagship feature that Apple will be advertising on stage. Now you can pair mice to the iPad. That's not what they're doing, because if they wanted to do that, they probably could have done it a long time ago, and we've seen in the past Apple be very adamant that iOS and macOS, they're passionate about both. They want both to get better and likely more like each other, but they're completely for them being separate. iPad will be better as long as it's a touch-dominant user interface, and Mac will be better as long as it's a keyboard and mouse-dominant user interface. Once you start mixing the two, you get into weird Windows territory where there's less optimization and it feels like the UI is clunky for both, and Apple's usually the one to separate two product lines, not merge them together to create a two-in-one device. They're usually about separating the product lines so that they can be the strongest in each of their category, making the best smartphone, making the best tablet, making the best desktop, making the best laptop. Of course, plenty of you don't think they are, but I'm just saying that's their ideology. Anyways, thank you guys for your time, and I'm sorry if I crushed some of your dreams today. If you were really hoping for mouse support on the iPad, and I'm now giving you the bad news that that's not what it's going to be. And for the record, let me be clear on this. This is not what I want to happen. I'm just the messenger here. I'm just trying to provide context in regards to what I want to happen to the iPad. I'm kind of for any major changes that can add more functionality to it. But that's not what this video is about. It's not a wish list. So just trying to keep everyone's expectations real. Let me know what you guys think about Apple probably not having mouse support on the iPad. Is this a good call or a bad call? Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. This is your Apple Sheep here, and I will see you in the next one.